What's up? Missed you last week.
Yeah, I didn't even get to watch. I wasn't around. I was sad to not be able to make it. I'm happy to be able to make it, and we have something more than just like college football DFS to talk about. I'm hanging out, watching some sports and drinking, talk about some slapdick DFS players trying to dunk on each other on Twitter. Fun times.
Yeah, it's going to be a good show. I think last week was like you missed out last week, and you missed on me just like completely scrambling with trying to get Matt accepted last minute, which was awesome. Matt, and I'm going to butcher his last name, but
Gajeski.
There you go. But Super Kenneth already wants to know in the running back conversation. Well, we'll get into that in a little bit, but we got a lot to cover tonight, and a lot of it's going to be pulling up tweets and pulling up stuff to read them on the air. But first, what I saw you had a cup of whiskey there, or it looked like whiskey at least.
Yeah, just so when I'm not drinking like straight whiskey, I enjoy a whiskey ginger ale. So just a little Buffalo Trace and ginger ale, nothing special. I get married in 2 weeks, bro. I'm trying to like keep it fit for 2 more weeks. That's it.
Yeah. I don't really. God, I've been married for so long now. I don't even remember. It was funny because where were we? We were at like TJ Maxx or something, looking for rugs. We actually found one. And this older couple, probably in their 50s, maybe 60s, the wife was like, "You want to look at rugs with me?" He was like, "No." And I just started laughing. And I was like, "Man, I'm not brave enough to do that yet." He was like, "How long have you guys been married?" I was like, "Oh, about 40 years. Or at least it feels that way." And he was like, he's like, "You're a fast learner. You'll catch on quick. You'll be saying no soon." But then sure shit, he's sitting there looking through rugs with her like 2 minutes later. So he's got the bulldog bark, but puppy dog bite.
Right. That's how I feel like I am. That's definitely how I feel like I am too. I shoot her straight. That's a good. We have a good relationship. I shoot her straight, and she shoots me straight. But obviously, she runs the house. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've said this before, but I'm very thankful my wife isn't on Twitter, because she would probably own my ass the way CSU Rams wife owns his ass on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't want that. But yes, Hodge, why are rugs so fucking expensive? Like, it's ridiculous. Like, we bought 2 rugs, and I feel like it was like $700.
Yeah, dude, we just moved into a new house, so like woman rules, you can't carry over the same rug from the old house into the new house. You have to redecorate everything, right? So, and we moved into a bigger house. So
I don't know. I've only lived in one house so far with her, so like I'm sure you're 100% accurate there, and I'm not looking forward to having to redecorate everything.
Yeah, well, when you move, you'll learn multiple new rugs, which start adding on these thousands of dollars of expenses that you did not expect for all the random bullshit. It's such a good point by Hodge. Those are the things that I learned. We're old now. I know to plan for fucking rug costs in moving.
So I don't know if this is actually Empire's YouTube name, but being fancy, smelling the alcohol before he drinks it. Well, when you drink like expensive whiskey, sometimes you want to get a little sniff. But I'm not sure if this is him. But we are going to get into this Twitter battle.
It's definitely not. It's definitely not him. I can confirm.
Yeah, I don't think it is. I have no idea but somebody went out of their way to create a YouTube username just for this particular show.
People have issues. If there's anything I've learned this week, it's that people got issues, man. People need to get hobbies. I feel like I live a boring life, and I need more hobbies and shit. I have learned that these millionaires need to get fucking lives.
I will give Alex, who's Awesemo, I will give him credit. He has gotten tremendous at Twitter over the past little bit. I don't know when he decided to go all in on the Twitter game, but he's stepped it up over the past year or so. I'll give him that much. I'm trying to find the poll where I specifically asked who would win to see what those numbers were at. So it's 10 Thunderdomes between MMA, PGA, and NFL. And whoever wins the most money wins an extra 50K. And so it had 2,886 votes.
Hold on, how many votes?
2,886, because that's how thirsty this DFS Twitter is for this kind of drama. And so Awesemo won the poll 52% to 48%. It was a big lead in the beginning, and then we saw I think Blake retweeted it later, who's Empire, and then like it started evening up, like getting very close. So I think, did they do their first contest? Like they started their first contest?
So the first contest is this week's PGA Thunderdome, right? And it's a no cut event, so we're only halfway through. I honestly haven't checked.
I think Nelson, who does Nelson Adcock, who does a lot of the golf sweats and cut sweats and stuff, he was tweeting the ROI expectancy. Awesemo and EM2 with the two highest predicted ROIs in the Thunderdome. Awesemo 5% higher than EM2. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out over this weekend with the first contest. Do you know if they're doing the MMA? Is there an MMA fight this weekend?
Yes.
So they're going to bang through like 3 of these right away, huh?
Correct. Yep. Correct. So, we'll know who has a massive advantage, or if there is any advantage, because it's profits, right? So like if neither of them cash anything this weekend, which I expect between the two of them,
is it profits or just whoever wins the most?
Whoever wins the most money, right? That's the rules, right?
But what if neither one win money? Somehow neither one win money. Is it whoever loses the least?
See, I haven't got that deep. My whole feed is cluttered with all these slapdicks talking about this fight or this fight. See, now I'm treating it like DC Siege. I wish it was like DC Siege. That would be way more entertaining.
Except these rich Twitter battles actually happen versus DFS fights. So Blender said EM2 thinks he's a -150 favorite. That's absolutely ludicrous. A random schmuck wouldn't be more than a 225 dog. I thought it was interesting that just the way it was shaking out, the odds and the way people were voting. Who would you have voted for? Like who do you think has an edge in this, since it is a single entry small contest field?
So just like from taking what Blender was saying, just to step back one second. That's like, definitely how like the math works in terms of how EmpireMaker is getting his money down, but I don't think he even thinks that. I think he just wants the action. Like I don't really think he gives a shit about, like he does, from what I have gathered, he does struggle to get down, he's blocked by everybody. So he doesn't get as many head-to-head games in any of these sports that he wants. So this was just a way for him to get action, even though he has to lay a shit ton more extra vig than I think was expected, or that he would want. But he has so much money, I don't think he gives a shit. If I had to pick a winner, like if I had to lay money on it, when they came out with these sports, I think I was talking about that in our Slack a little bit. I would definitely make Empire the favorite just because of the sports. I think PGA and MMA, like he has an advantage over Alex. Also because, so like if you go to his NFL, like his head NFL cash team or NBA cash team or MLB even cash team, Empire has just like, you know, the literal stone chalk, every single one of the highest owned players on the slate. But
well, he's just cranking out an optimizer, right?
Right,
Like he's just
right.
cranking out the optimized plays, and probably for the stuff he plays, most of the time that works.
Yeah, and but in golf he's a little bit different. Like, you know, he plays chalkier, but he's still like, if you see like the total ownership between, my dog might get in this show here in a second, between him and Alex's lineups, he's not even any chalkier than Awesemo's team is in the Thunderdome. So I just think golf, he's the best. Like, he's the best that there is out there. I mean, he's the best cash player in the world. But like in specifically these sports, I would definitely call him the favorite. However, I was listening to Bales today on Overzet's Bankroll Challenge video, and he made a good point that depending upon how these first few contests go, Alex has an advantage because, you know, people judge Awesemo for this GPP player and like winning these big fields and stuff. But like, he does play these contests too. He doesn't traditionally play the Thunderdome, but he does play, like in baseball, he fucking wrecks like the 2K. Well, I don't even know what it's, you know, whatever the high stakes tournaments are in MLB.
How many entries are in the 2K? How many entries can you have? Like 6?
One. No, one.
Oh, it's just one.
Mm-hmm. It's anywhere from 15 to 25 people in the, like, it's like the $2,100 tournament in MLB. It's like, let's call it 25. So it's basically like what they're playing. He crushes MLB. Now, I think MLB is a big advantage for him in the way that he plays, but, you know, so it's not like he has no experience or no knowledge in playing these kinds of tournaments. And when you start to get into either how to play when you're ahead or how to play when you're behind, he kind of has this edge because of that's literally his area of expertise, is how to you know, figure out how to play these tournaments you know, appropriately, whereas Empire is literally pretty much always jamming in the optimal. You know, like he'll swap and stuff, but he just jams that optimal. So that was an interesting take that Bales had that I hadn't really thought about. So you know, it's pretty much a coin flip. I would bet on Awesemo just because of the GPP nature of things and the payout structure. But I think, like, if I was making a favorite, it would probably be Empire.
Yeah, I guess obviously it depends on like odds. Like if it's like a coin flip and you're not getting any odds, then you probably I think I would lean towards Alex if like it's just a straight coin flip. Now, if you start like maneuvering some odds, like if Blake really thinks he's a -150 favorite, like those are odds that I would probably take. It's interesting. It's such a meta game talking about like betting on people playing sports and stuff. And it's just so interesting, but there's a good chance like all these guys have to do is like, if each of them win like one Thunderdome over the course of these 10 days, like neither one of them are really going to lose any money. They're just the profits they make over these 10 Thunderdomes is probably going to be reduced. And so it's just an interesting, because what Thunderdomes are like 52.50, right? And like 250's taken for, is it 5% rake where 250's taken for the rake?
Yeah. So it's definitely going to depend on, you know, we don't have all the Thunderdomes laid out to see like what the details and the payout structures are of each contest. But like this PGA one is a 20 man field, and it pays out 4 places, and it's 50K out of 100K prize pool to first place. So that was part of where I think personally Awesemo gets a little bit of an edge, is because they're playing for profits, right? And he may loot, like it's quite possible that Empire cashes a couple more times than he does, but the way that Alex plays, when 50% of the prize pool is going to first place, he is more likely to ship 2 of these out of 10, in my opinion, than Empire is. So it's just kind of that like you said, it's definitely a meta game. And I don't think there's a decided advantage, but like Blender says, I just think I think it's a coin flip. Maybe just a shade over a coin flip to Empire's side, but that's not what people are getting better odds than that on Alex.
Yeah, so apparently McLovin got 500K down on that. Like, I couldn't imagine putting that kind of money on someone else to beat someone else at DFS. Like, that is just like, maybe one day I'll get there. I'm not poor by any means, but I could not imagine laying $500,000 down on a DFS player to beat another DFS player. It's absolutely insane. Do you, Blender, do you know if he bet that directly with Blake, or did that go somewhere else?
I'm sure it's through the syndicate. I'm sure.
Yeah.
So that was the other thing that, before we maybe actually make some jokes about all these clowns, that is like the interesting thing. I actually, it's funny because like in our Slack, we've had like some disagreements or arguments, whatever you want to call them. Like I don't know Empire. I don't have anything against him. I think it's pretty clear that he's kind of fucking off the rails right now. The last little while on Twitter, but that it is what it is. Everybody, it's fine. I don't really care. And I know Bryce a little bit. And so he kind of got called out. Him and Empire got called out by Petty, and I like Bryce. So like and Bryce is a really fucking good DFS player too. So like I'm not passing judgment or whatever, but it's just interesting, like Petty tries to call out the fact that Bryce didn't play the Thunderdome this week, and Bryce always plays the Thunderdome, and they always have the same team. But he definitely didn't want, like I said it, like Petty didn't want that smoke. Like he didn't really want to approach that subject, like as another sharp, high stakes player. Like you don't really want to go to war with those guys, and like whether they're working together on teams really doesn't matter because everybody works together on teams. So like that's just like a silly argument, but like I guess you wanted like the likes or the retweets or whatever to try to put that out there to like nudge somebody, but you didn't really want to go to war with Empire or Bryce over it. I thought that was kind of a funny little side thing that happened that kind of got overlooked since people were just being total fucking idiots.
So it looks like Alex tweeted about an hour ago, the first 3 Thunderdomes this weekend are likely to determine the whole bet. If I am in the lead, I'll just play the optimal aggregated lineup each slate and draw EmpireMaker2. And so like, I think like that's kind of like what you're talking about, right? Like Alex is going to play to win the bet, and he's going to, he's going to, if he wins this PGA or NFL or MMA and Blake isn't able to cash at all these 3 and he's able to win one and cash a couple, he can totally just play the optimal lineup. Because as you mentioned, like, I don't think it's that like Bryce is I like Bryce as well. And, we hung out with him at the DK Live final. He's a trip. He's crazy. He's fun to hang out with. And I think I think it's interesting because it's like all those high stakes players know exactly how to get to that lineup because they're using the same set of projections that spit out the same lineup. So it wouldn't be difficult. Now, I don't know about like MMA and stuff, like if there's like optimal lineups for that shit, but we'll get to that fiasco about fight metrics here in a minute. But I do think it'll be interesting to see what happens after this weekend, to see what the lead is and to go from there.
It's a fair point by Walter. Like they play the exact same lineup, and I agree. But that's because they're working off the same projections and they do the same thing, right? They play the optimal off the same projections, so of course they have the same lineup, and they just play literally every contest. Like it's not like Empire's even tweeted it. Like there's the button that's like, I don't register all or whatever. I don't know what that button is because I don't have anywhere near the amount of money to do that. But like it literally registers every contest in the lobby, and like that's what they do.
But he doesn't care. He's not playing to win the Millie Maker. He's not playing to win the $9 slant. He's entering that lineup and everything, but in the off chance it is the complete nuts, he's going to have a huge day. But he's going to have a huge day even if it's not the complete nuts because of the small fields he's playing and the stuff. Over the long term, he's probably making money just simply because he's playing the numbers game.
Yeah, well, he's getting down hundreds of thousands of dollars on every slate on multiple sites and trying to realize his 5% edge, 10% edge. I don't know. I don't know what the exact. He would obviously know. Like they know over the long haul that lineup has X% edge. They know they're better. They're better at making the optimal lineup than anyone else on the planet. So they just get every cent down on that optimal lineup as they can and realize the edge over, every slate for every day for years. And that's why they have the money that they do. So, I don't, people hate on them, and, it's easy to get digs in, and I understand like the collusion stuff and whatever, but it's not really I don't think it's really worth the time. It's definitely not worth my time. Like I couldn't even keep up with all this stupid shit they're all tweeting this week. I certainly have no interest.
I kept up with it like in the beginning, but then I got busy. We had a bunch of shit happen, this week at my work. My company's getting bought out, and so like everything was just like up in the air this week. And so like I just stopped paying attention to it because it wasn't important for me at the time to keep up with it. But Hodge said, I think you guys don't give Blake enough credit for how sharp of a player he is. I mean,
yeah.
I think he is, like I think he is definitely smart enough to know he can't play the optimal if he's behind. He's going to have to take some chances to get up there. But then again, at the end of the day, I don't know if the 50K bet is enough for him to give a shit.
No, that's why he got the $1 million in side action, and he was willing to lay shitty odds just to get the side action.
No, well, so much going on. What's up, Eddie in the chat? What's up, Eddie Fear? Zigger said, so Matt is going to go wild on alcohol with the new money. When I say my company, I refer to my company because I've worked there for 13, 14 years and helped, build the marketing department. But by no means was this my huge payday. I'm just excited for the owners and whatever new opportunity comes with it. Let's see. Anything else?
Blender says, Blender, what he said is absolutely 100% correct. That's why it didn't all start from this, but like that's kind of where this whole thing, Empire was trying to get down money on himself, and then Awesemo gave him shit, right? Because it is what Awesemo said is absolutely true. He plays duped lineups in like the Thunderdome, in high stakes tournaments, in all tournaments, and even in 3-mans and 5-mans, whatever. He plays duped teams, which is dumb. Even he would admit it's dumb. He just doesn't care because there's such a minimal amount of what he's putting into play. So like the guy just has more money to not than we, like that's something we really care about. And he would even admit, like in terms of EV, it's horrible, but he doesn't give a shit.
So he quoted Alex's tweet about this weekend will determine the whole bet. And Empire quoted the tweet with, I'm drinking wine and doing coke. Keep crunching those numbers. I'm surprised he didn't throw a nerd in there. I feel like he should have thrown a nerd in there to stay on brand.
Yeah. I guess you can't use nerd on literally every tweet, which I will say if he wins and he buys a car and gets like, thank you nerd or whatever on the license plate, like I think 95 to 99% of the shit he has been spewing for the last few weeks is just like total nonsense. And like, he comes off like an idiot, but if he did that, I would at least like respect, major respect.
See you, Eddie. Thanks for stopping in and joining the gasoline we're pouring on the DFS Twitter drama. It's always a pleasure to be presenced by industry greatness. Eddie goes way back. So yeah, I'm interested to see how it shakes out. I think it's insane that I could not throw around that kind of money. Like, not only are they playing for over $50,000 over 10 contests, but they have 50,000 on top of it. It's just like, that's too much money for me to throw around. I don't really care how much money I had. Well, I mean, I guess I don't know how much money Blake actually has, but he's got to have a lot. The amount of money he plays, like, you got to have a massive bankroll to play at that point. Vipin, have we gotten to the hot tub takes?
Please no. I read back and
I didn't understand the reference, and so I just moved on.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about hot tubs and baths and stuff. The kind of shit that you guys talk about in Slack is fucking disturbing.
The general channel, man, is you got to be brave to stay in there for a while. I always, like, when I get the Patreon emails of a new supporter, I immediately go to the general chat just to await Jaws welcoming of the new patron member to the best free paid sports site.
It's good. It's funny. It is. It's funny all the way around. He usually has something funny to say. There's funny responses. It's good. It's a good.
I love it. Whoever that one week signed up with Jaw is a hooker and like spent $10 like that. That was pretty amazing.
That was pretty amazing.
But Jaw, anytime you want to come join the show, I mean, feel free. I've got some odds that you'll never show your face, but
yeah,
you know, I'm willing to lose some money to have you come on.
Oh man, yeah, a mostly free site. It's so true. Let me tell you, I can't wait for the day that we put it all behind a paywall and fucking Jaw goes away and starts his own cloud site.
A mostly free site. So I think we touched on this regarding the action. So like Empire just kind of trolling for action to get some more money on the table, knowing that, you know, Alex is good for it. So it'll be interesting to see, like, whoever wins or loses this, if they continue to do another round of this or whatever they do.
So what do you think? So I honest to God believe there's a market for this because of what Blender said. I don't know, like, to what extent, and I haven't thought a ton about it, but like Empire as an example, you know, he'll like screenshot, right? You know, when he has a good day and he's got like 300 or 500,000 in play. But like the fucked up thing is, like, he posts way more than that. He wants to get down way more than that. Like, that's not even what he's trying to play. So, and
that's just on one site, right? Like, I mean, the bets, like, that's like FanDuel is like 200 to 300, and I'm sure DraftKings is maybe a little bit more than that. Like, what's he trying, like, on a weekend, trying to get
million, probably
well over $1 million?
Mm-hmm. I would just like, I'm not basing it off anything, but that's just what I would guess. I know that, you know, I just know that so many people have him blocked. Like, nobody wants to play him, nor should you. You know, he has the optimal. So like, why would I willingly play?
I mean, I'll play him. I'm just not going to play him for the limits he wants to play. Like,
no, and
I play him for like $100 head to head just because.
No, and we talked about it a long time ago with like Ed knows him, or is at least, like, you know, acquaintances with him, Ed from Slack. And like, I told him, I was like, dude, honest to God, I'll play him in baseball every day because his baseball teams are not very good, or at least not this year. Not speaking to the past, but like this year, frankly, like, I would play the high stakes stuff, and like I was happy that he was in there because he made, quite frankly, bad teams, and I'd be happy to play him in cash too. But like, I would never play him in PGA cash. I would never play him in MMA cash. I would never play him in NBA cash, etc. Because he literally has the best team. Like, what? I'm just going to play tournaments. I'm not going to willingly take action against a team that I know is the optimal, unless it's in tournaments, which is fine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a cash player, so I never really look at optimals. I might might as well be a cash player with how much chalk I play, but
that's a fact.
You're supposed to be like, oh no, you're not that bad, Matt. But
I'm not gonna lie to you.
Speaking of MMA, whatever happened with this whole fight metrics thing? Did anything ever come of that?
I don't even know what this is. What are you talking about? Explain.
So, like the significant strikes for did anything ever come of that? Like, did they ever because it was like something like some ridiculously low number for the amount of strikes that were landed or something. Like it was like most in UFC history, and then like the fight metrics just like screwed the scoring up, or I don't know if they screwed it up or what happened there, but everyone was claiming, foul that played. Like I saw Bryce tweet about it. I saw Blake tweet about it. I saw like all these guys like were absolutely livid about the fight metrics data that came back from that particular fight. I don't know whatever happened to it though. Like, did it just go away? Did people just give up?
I don't know what I mean. There's a lot of shit going on right now with these stat providers. It's super fucking shady for like FanDuel to just pass the buck to the stat provider as if they don't have any responsibility, which that's a whole nother story. But like, so I will admit to, like, I try not to get on Twitter when fights are happening because it's literally nothing but all these
spoilers.
It's all the bros telling me about how they scored the round. Dude,
like they're a professional judge.
Yeah, I don't need your round by round updates and telling me about this. But of course I stumbled across some of what you're, and I'm not like a big MMA fan. Like I'll watch the fights, but I'm not an expert and I'm not a huge fan. So I wasn't too in tune with it, but I saw what you were talking about, and as far as I know, nothing. Nothing.
I don't understand the joke. What does that mean?
Is it the camera? Is he talking about your camera is shitty?
The camera bad? It might be the internet, because the camera is a 4K camera, but it could be I have shitty internet.
4K in Florida means something different than 4K in St. Louis, I feel like.
So it must be my internet must be really bad. On my screen, it looks okay though. So I apologize. It's probably better you can't see me in high def anyways.
Scorer definitely had lineups, and that is something that's what Womble said. Like that, like I'm not trying to be like, conspiracy theory shit, because I despise all that. But like it is kind of interesting to think about how widespread gambling is going to become, and how subjective and how like almost like non-regulated all these officials are. We had, when it was Tim Donaghy betting with his local bookie on the corner or whatever, and we've had tons is not the correct term, but we've had plenty of like college games get fixed and all that kind of stuff. And like, so what's going to happen when, these guys have access to these officials and these scorers and stuff? Like the scorers are probably worse. The officials, it's probably a little bit easier to spot like an official trying to throw a game, but like these scorers, how the hell are we ever going to know? It's subjective, supposedly subjective.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's like a AI watching it and calculating it based on speed or something, but yeah, Blender said Fight Metric could visit my house and only see 4 whiskey bottles.
Right.
But, oh man, 4,000. No, I definitely don't have 4,000 bottles. My wife would absolutely kill me if I had that much.
Tommy G. And so, okay.
I haven't heard that name in so long. Why? Who said his name?
Dude, the Awesemo and Empire shit is ridiculous. And like some of these dudes, not Alex, he doesn't ever really take it too far. Like he's like corny dad joke guy, right? He's like that's why you like him, because he's definitely like corny dad joke guy. But Empire crosses the line sometimes, and then even like Empire, but he knows what he's doing, right? He's built, and like he's picked up all these followers and stuff because he's like Trump, like he's being like Trump, he's getting all these people riled up and shit. And then like he knows how to get under other people's skin, like the nerd thing. It pisses off because these guys probably maybe have been called nerd before, or like, you know, they're just self-conscious about it, whatever. Like, he knows how to get under these people's skin. It's pretty smart. But then like nobody knows how to keep it together. Like he even got bricked across the line, and Brian Hooper, you know, also one of the best DFS players in the world, but like a super good guy, like super nice guy, but like he got brick throwing, like totally crossing the line, inappropriate comments on Twitter. Like it's just all these rich guys just being total fucking morons because they have too much time on their hands.
Yeah, I think it's definitely interesting. I've learned over this past year to not take anything too seriously. And it's so funny to watch people get riled up on Twitter about like people they've never met, calling them names or, you know, making fun of them. And it's like, who cares? Like, why do you care about somebody that's never met you in real life? Or even if you've met, like, it's just interesting to me. But I mean, Zigger says we're all nerds. Like, yeah, I mean, I don't really care what you call me, nerd or not. Like, sure, I guess. I mean, I create websites and I look at like digital marketing analytics for a living. So yeah, I guess I'm 100% a nerd. I don't really care. But it's funny because like what you would consider a nerd back in school versus a nerd now, it's like two different things. And like, it's just, it's so weird. I don't know.
No, I think Drew Dinkmeyer tweeted it the other day, and I think it was like really true. Like I kind of like followed up to what he was saying, where it's just like people that like seek out conflict and want to, and even like if you're not the one initiating it, like you were talking about, people that like want to reply to somebody talking shit to them on Twitter, some random, right? The DFS guy 6748293.
Yeah, with like 8 digits after their name.
Yeah, like who gives a fuck what those people have to say? And like the other people that are out there, which are tons of them, that just like want to talk shit and like want to like try to start shit with everybody. Like just this, who gives a fuck? Like we're like in Slack, like having debates and discussions, and even sometimes it gets like a little heated or whatever. But like it's not real. It's not like a real fight. Oh, dogs are growling at each other.
I don't know. So JM Jinx said he played with EM2 in Vegas, and he's as awkward and nerdy as they come.
So I was gonna say that. Let me hop in really fast. I was gonna say that. So like I've been to quite a few live finals and stuff by now. So like I don't know all these guys, but I've seen them or met them or whatever. And like that's the thing. Even all these guys that act tough and cool and stuff, like they're not. They're like they're awkward. They're weird. EmpireMaker would not be beating anybody up. Like he's talking, like he's tweeting, like I'll stuff you in a locker. Like he wouldn't stuff it. He would get stuffed in a locker. Like if he was at your high school, he would have been the one getting stuffed in the locker. He wouldn't be stuffed. You know, like it's a good funny bit, but like all the overwhelming majority of these guys, like this is not like this is not like they're not a bunch of jocks running around these like events of all the best DFS players in the world, you know?
Yeah, it's I watched this. So like when all this popped up, I stumbled across the who was it? Brandon Adams, I think, interview with Blake.
Yep.
And he was like in an empty apartment, like it was like spotless. I guess he had just moved in, is what he was saying. It was like literally the beginning of the pandemic, I think, is when they interviewed that, like the first or second week of March. And so like no one really knew where this thing was going. And I guess he had just moved into his condo or whatever it was, but it was like absolutely like zero things on there. He had like a rollaway, like spiced cart with nothing on it. It was just a very interesting setup. And I think people were like, that dude's got to be a serial killer.
Yeah, it was so funny. Because it was like a scene out of American Psycho, and he was Christian Bale. Like you couldn't dream it up any better. That's it. That's legitimately exactly what it looked like. So yeah, that was really good. And same thing. Like obviously him and BA, like genius, like incredibly smart people, like super geniuses. But like them, like in their condos talking to each other, like definitely serial killer vibes.
Jaw's the best athlete in DFS, and then Ray said Jaw's never been punched in the face.
Oh, guaranteed. That is a
Jaw
fact.
says yet.
Yeah, that is also true. Give it time.
Let's just start calling people poor. I think that will tilt everyone. Let's get back to posting 1099 screenshots.
I need these last 2 months to beef up the 1099. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to post the 2019 1099.
Don't worry, I got Adobe Acrobat Pro. I can make it say whatever you need it to say. That's
True.
why, I don't understand the post your 1099. It takes 2 seconds to modify a 1099. Like all the people on Twitter are like, we should start asking for 1099s. Why? It takes 2 seconds to modify that and make it look like you're winning. Like, what does that fucking mean? And even saying post your CSVs, like that would require a little bit more work. Granted, you could still modify that and import it into some tracking program and make it look like you won a bunch of money. Like there's so transparency within the industry is like, it's so interesting because like, if you're a financial advisor or stock advisor, there's certifications, like there's all this stuff that you have to go through to be able to like advise people on how to spend their money to get return. But here we are in gambling where people are like, just telling people who to play left and right. And there's no accountability. There's no transparency behind any of it. It's an interesting field. And I don't know, like, I don't want to say it needs regulation. But it is an interesting field because normally in this type of environment where you're like advising people how to quote unquote invest their money, it would require some sort of regulation behind it of who is allowed to do that. But here we are in an industry where anyone off the street, some guy with a bunch of whiskey and some guy that loves dogs can just like hop on a show and tell people how to play their money, and it's perfectly fine. And if somebody lost their life savings, there's nothing they could do as a recourse for it.
It's true. It's interesting because like KC and I were talking a little bit earlier in Slack about DFS touts, but this is a long intro. That's true. If you're here for the plays, Walter, you are sorely mistaken.
I feel like the show is better. We'll just do an hour intro and then be like, oh, we ran out of time.
We'll do 59 minutes, and then the last minute I'll just tell you. Well, everybody wants to talk about college football. I know that's what we're getting to, and we're gonna get to college football. And I'm gonna say you're all playing all the chalk. I know it. That's what we do.
You can't play You can't play a 7K Kyle Pitts though.
That's true. See, but if Kyle Pitt, if Florida, let's not get started on Florida. We don't need to go into another side diatribe about Florida's coach, his old lady kissing all the players and giving
that was
everybody
from like
COVID.
Years ago. I don't think she was kissing people this year, but maybe she was. I don't know.
I don't buy it.
I
don't buy it. There's a fucking outbreak of COVID, and the coach's wife is making out with the players.
She kissed him on the cheek.
Whatever. You guys are fucked up down there. That's the moral.
I'm not denying that.
But I don't even know what we were talking about before. We will get to a little bit of college football because I do think it is worthwhile to at least discuss some of the plays, but it's more fun to just hang out and shoot the shit. If there's
so many like here's the thing, there's so many shows that talks about plays and all this kind of stuff. You don't need us to tell you who to play. We have Slack, we have all that stuff. I will tell you that we are toying around with some Slack bots and trying to figure out something to make it easier to summarize Slack. So those of you that are like me and want to come in on a Saturday morning and quickly see what everyone's talking about can do so very easily. So we're toying around with some AI and the ability to tag comments to a Slack bot that will post it in a summary type format. We'll get there, but until then, just continue using the Slack. There's free articles. Matt does a great free article every weekend on Awesemo with great content. He was on last week. He really dives into the information and puts it out there for free. He does a free sheet as well. I think some of y'all were giving him some shit earlier about his sheet not having conditional formatting or something. Y'all need to give the man a break. He does all that for free and has no intent of getting paid for it. So I was going to pull up the college football slate because I have no idea what we were talking about before we started talking. We said we were going to get to college.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm 2 glasses deep now. So,
so
whatever.
we're in trouble.
Yeah.
No, we can touch on college football and
now everything's starting to look like my screen does to you guys.
Yeah, I'm getting blown up because one of my buddies apparently asked some questions that we missed in chat. So let's do NFL first because he was asking about NFL and he was asking about Antonio Gibson.
Oh, I did see Antonio Gibson. Where'd that question go? It seemed like it was out of nowhere. So
yeah, so that was a totally random buddy of mine, but it's like a segue into something we were talking about in Slack a little bit earlier, which was Jamal Williams. Everybody here probably knows that Aaron Jones is questionable, maybe even closer to doubtful than questionable, which we already lost Joe Mixon. So now we have these goddamn cheap running backs that are good, that in a vacuum are really good plays. And I was trying to argue, and I wasn't even arguing the plays, don't play them or play them. But
you were just arguing to argue?
Of course. But this slate, though, for real, is there are so many plays, so many good plays that I think if, say, Jamal Williams and Gio are as owned as I think that they're going to be, if you're MMEing, it was Ed hopped in and was I think I would play Jamal. He plays 150, I think. That's a very different story than if you're me or you playing one team or two teams or whatever. I think there's a really strong case to be made to be fading these guys that are 60, 70% on these particular slates, just given how strong. You don't need a ton of 3K, 4K guys on these slates because we just don't even have that many guys to pay up for. So, and there's a lot of good running backs. Antonio Gibson was the segue, kind of on Tuesday before we have all this value open up. I kind of thought Gibson might get a little popular than that. So I was I've been chasing Gibson, but now I can't play him if everybody else is going to play him. But now it's nobody's going to play Antonio Gibson now because there's Gio and Jamal Williams. But who's to say that Gibson doesn't score 2 touchdowns? He's playing fucking Dallas. There's a ton of good plays that are going to go sub 10% for sure, some sub 5%. And Jamal Williams and Gio are going to be depending on the field you're in, 50, 60, 70%. So anyway, that's my one serious rant for the show.
I guess speaking of the slate this weekend, are you happy the Seahawks and Cardinals game got flexed to Sunday night, or do you wish that would have stayed on the slate? I don't know why they. I know why they did that because it's the Raiders and the Bucks. Who gives a shit? But
it's still on the slate.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
so the Sunday night game is included. So they left that game on the slate. I didn't realize. And they added the Raiders game.
Wow. Okay. I thought they would have got rid of it because it moved to Sunday night. So this is our first slate in a long time with the Sunday night football game.
Yeah. And
it's going to be interesting. That provides a whole nother level of because that game has such potential for shootout opportunity there. But is that where everyone goes?
That's what I think, and that's what, like Walter said, that was like the best game, right? Like Russ, Lockett, Metcalf, Nuke, or Kyler, however you want to play those guys, were like the best plays. But it was hard to get to them. Now, like especially if you have Jamal Williams, like this is easy. Jamal Williams, Giovanni Bernard, stack that game. David Njoku and whoever. Like those teams are literally going to be duped, like in probably not even that big of fields.
So Gibson's so 5,000, Bernard's 4,500. How much is Jamal?
4K.
Oh, he's like minimum.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's kind of just like those cheap running backs are, to me, kind of like they're very good plays in a vacuum, but I just think avoiding that roster construction is the best way to go, or at least that's how I'm approaching it right now. We'll see what happens.
This is what I meant to share. It's just the tab, but it's freezing up on me. I lost everyone. Can you hear me?
I can still hear you.
I don't know what happened. My computer froze up. I was going to show some team trends and stuff for NFL, but
1995 computer.
It might be that 1995 internet. Maybe my wife picked up the house phone and ruined the internet connection. Fucking AOL CDs, man. I remember getting those.
We can talk about college football really quick and wrap it up. Dude, seriously, you have to come in, and then I'm going to steal your, like, come into Slack right before the slate starts and ask some questions, put the team together, and then I'm just going to steal your team, because I really legitimately think this is an unbelievably hard college football slate. Like, seriously, unbelievably hard. The chalk is going to be so chalky, but it's like so it's like there's a handful of guys that are just like so absurdly underpriced. There's really not that, like, most of these games are just like really not very good to target. Like even the better games aren't that good to target. And then you have like legitimately, like, you know, all SEC wide receivers like priced like total fucking bums. And then like some of these stud running backs cheap. And then like they did the opposite, where like Clemson is like borderline unplayable because they're so expensive. So anyway, there's just like all these variables that made this slate so hard. Like I've been trying to build different teams and like get different all week, and I've never landed on anything that I really like. So, you know, I don't know. I'm sure we'll get feedback from somebody that has an idea of how to attack this slate. But it's a tough slate in my opinion.
So speaking of like college football and stuff, I haven't had opportunity to play, and like I played a couple times. I think the last time I played, like, my quarterback got injured or something, so I haven't played in a while. We do have college football tools that kind of streamline the data. We've done Ray has helped a ton, and I can't see anything in the comments or what's happening right now, so I apologize for not being able to interact there. I hope my computer stops freezing up by the time it is to in the broadcast, or this one might go a little long. But the tools we have for college football will be made free after this weekend for everyone. Now, additional Patreon features such as conditional formatting, team trends, all that kind of stuff will continue on just for patrons and being able to export stuff. But our goal is to never hoard tools and hoard data and make it paid access to the data. Our goal is to reward early access for those who support us. So that's kind of the mindset behind it. But yeah, I just I have so much going on right now that I just don't know if I have time to look into college football tomorrow. If I get around to it, maybe at 11:15, I'll start diving into it. But
that's what I'm waiting on. Once you dive in, then I'll just tail you.
There we go. Let me ask you, because all my Chrome tabs are completely frozen right now. Do you have access to stop this broadcast in 5 minutes?
This is no, I don't. This is literally a fucking joke of an operation you're running here.
Oh man, we need a producer.
This is Jaw.
Jaw, there you go. Jaw, you don't even have to show your face. You can sit in the studio and just produce it.
Free conditional formatting on the college football. If you produce
he said earlier that he sees in conditional formatting that he doesn't need it.
Yeah, I've seen his sheets. They make my eyes bleed more than some of our stuff does. So I'm sure that he does. Yeah, just turn the computer off. That's good. See, that's good feedback. Just power down.
Who said that?
Ken. Those West Coast people, they're too.
Is that really the best way to handle it though?
What the fuck else are you gonna do?
I don't know, but I don't know if me leaving the broadcast will fix the issue.
Why would it? I mean, well, the only other option is you leave it running and everyone's going to be able to watch that's what we're going to be famous for, is you're just going to leave this running and people are going to be watching your house for the next however many hours.
So it says I'm backstage. Like I'm backstage on my phone. Like I have my phone right here, like trying to figure out how to stop the stream in 4 minutes. And I don't know how I'm going to do it.
Amazing. This is where Jaw's patron funds go to every month.
You guys realize if we had more supporters, we would be able to prevent this type of thing from happening and actually be able to hire a producer. But
Matt, you have to pull out the disc and blow in it like the old school video games. Something you got to figure something out here.
I'm gonna do like a hard quit and hope it does it. But if not, I'm gonna just close my camera, mute the mic, and I don't know what'll happen for the YouTube video. So
God, I'm just praying that there's a live stream of your house till like the morning.
My wife's like walking through, getting ready for the gym, and like.
Yep. Oh no, Casey, that's terrible. Don't.
What did he say? I can't see it.
He's trying to tag in Chris, which for anybody that's not familiar,
Chris is the dev. Yeah, Chris doesn't have control over this. This is StreamYard here. All right, so we got like I don't know what to do here, man. I'm kind of at a loss. I'm just waiting until the time runs out, and then I'll close it, and hopefully that ends the stream.
Yeah, I mean, we can wrap it up. I'm telling you to turn off your computer. We can wrap it up, turn off your computer, and I'll go to the YouTube page and let you know if I can see in your house.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Join Add More Funds in Slack for college football plays in the morning. Support us on Patreon. You can also like and subscribe to us on YouTube. It helps us out a bunch. We'd really like to hit 1,000 subscribers so we could try to monetize this channel and make like 50 cents a show. So if you don't mind, doing that, go ahead and do that now. But all right, here we go. I'm gonna hard power it off.